Good morning, students. In today's online class of English, I am here with the lesson The Bond of Love by Kenneth Anderson. The Bond of Love is a story of love and friendship between a human being and an animal. The author Kenneth Anderson tells us how a sloth bear became a pet just like a dog. How this bear was taken utmost care by his family members, especially by his wife. The wife called it Bruno. He was loved by everyone, so and so much that they did not like to part with him. Let us know how they got this sloth bear as their pet. One day, the author and his friends were passing through the sugarcane fields near Mysore, where people were driving away the wild pigs from the fields by shooting at them. Unluckily, one of the companions of the author shot a bear. Then they found that a baby bear was also riding with the bear that was killed by them. The author brought it to Bangalore and gave it to his wife. She felt delighted on getting it. She named it Bruno as the cub was a boy. So the author's wife christened him Bruno because he was a boy. He was a male bear. Bruno soon took to drinking milk from a bottle and started eating everything. He immediately learned how to drink milk from a bottle. So this was the training given to him by the author's wife. This is how they got this sloth bear and they started taming him. The small bear assimilated into their lives quite easily. Bruno immediately started drinking milk from the bottle and within a few days started eating and drinking everything else. Bruno could eat porridge, vegetables, fruit, bread, eggs, chocolate, etc. He could even drink milk, coffee, water, tea, beer, or any other liquid. He was very intelligent. He learned how to eat every kind of food. The bear became very much attached to their two Alsatian dogs. The bear did not like to live alone. He started becoming familiar with the Alsatian dogs. He was also attached to all the children of the tenants living in the bungalow. During his younger days, Bruno was free to spend time in playing, running into the kitchen, or going to sleep in their beds. So he became very familiar with the small children living as their tenants in the house of the author. Once an accident happened to Bruno. The author had placed barium carbonate, a poison, to kill the rats and mice. And in this library, and Bruno ate some of the poison which paralyzed him. So this poison was kept in the library to keep away the mouse, to keep away the rats, and Bruno, by mistake, ate those things, ate barium carbonate. However, the author took him immediately to the veterinary doctor's residence by a car. As soon as he ate, his body was paralyzed. So he was immediately taken to the veterinary doctor. The veterinary doctor injected 10 cc of the antidotes in Bruno's body, but there was no change. The antidote was given, but it had no effect. But what happened after that? There was no change in his body. The author, 10 minutes later, Bruno got up and had a great feed. Okay. Then author 10 cc was injected and Bruno's condition slightly improved. Again 10 cc was injected and there was a slight improvement in his condition. He got up and had a great feed. He started eating vigorously. Another accident occurred when once Bruno drank nearly 1 gallon of old engine oil kept for the treatment of termites, but it had no ill effect on him. So Bruno did all very mysterious, very you can say amazing tasks, amazing acts which affected him badly. Within a few months of staying with the author's family, Bruno had grown many times in size. Bruno became very big, huge, because it was a bear. But he was still very sweet, mischievous, and playful, and was very fond of all of them. Even he became very huge, he was very mischievous, very playful, and very fond of the people living around him. Above all, he loved the author's wife, who loved him too. The author's wife loved him very much. She changed his name from Bruno to an Indian name Baba. She started calling him Baba with love, which meant a small boy. Baba had learnt a few tricks like posing to wrestle, to hold a gun, and to cradle a baby. Now he started doing some very funny acts. He started doing such poses just like to cradle a baby. He started posing to wrestle just like a wrestler. However, Baba had to be kept chained most of the time due to the tenant's children. Since he became very huge, he was mischievous, he used to be chained all the time. Eventually, the author, his son and friends advised his wife to give Baba to the zoo at Mysore as he was getting too big to be kept at home. He was unable, he was uncontrollable. People were unable to catch hold of him. Even he was chained. So the author's friends, the author's son, all advised that he should be kept in the zoo. She gave her consent reluctantly. The author's wife was not ready initially, but after some time, she reluctantly agreed to it. Then a letter was written to the curator of the zoo, who agreed to keep Baba. Baba was soon sent to the Mysore zoo in a lorry. He was sent to the zoo. At home, everyone missed Baba greatly, but they felt relieved also. The person most affected by Bruno's leaving was the author's wife, who was inconsolable and wept and fretted. The author's wife was inconsolable, and he did not like to stay without him. For the first few days, she would not eat anything. She was badly affected. She even wrote a number of letters to the curator of the zoo. He replied to her that Baba was well, but he too was fretting and refusing food. Baba was also very much attached to the author's wife. He was also not eating properly in the zoo. Here, the author's wife was missing him very much. She also refused to eat. She requested friends visiting Mysore to go to the zoo and see how Baba was doing. She asked her friends, those who were going to Mysore, to meet Baba, to know about his well-being. They would tell her that Baba was well but looked very thin and sad. For 3 months, the author asked his wife from going to Mysore. The author prevented his wife from going to Mysore for 3 months. But when she threatened to go by bus or train, he took her there by car. So she was anxious to meet Baba. She asked the author to help her to go there. And the author took her by car. In the zoo, for the next 3 hours, the author's wife refused to leave Baba's cage. She wanted to stay with Baba. She did not like to leave him there. She gave Baba tea, lemonade, cakes, ice cream, etc. She gave all eatables to him. When she was forced to leave because of the closing time of the zoo, she cried bitterly, and so did Baba. So this scene was very emotional when she started crying, and Baba also was crying on the other side. The author's wife pleaded with the curator to allow her to take her Baba back. She started pleading the curator to give Baba back to her. She wanted to keep Baba at home. The curator advised her to see his boss, the superintendent at Bangalore. The superintendent was a kind-hearted person and was moved by the tearful pleading of the author's wife. The curator asked the author's wife to meet the superintendent. The superintendent allowed her to take Baba back. He gave his consent and wrote to the curator to lend them a cage for transporting the bear to Bangalore. So the superintendent asked the curator to give them a cage in which Baba should be carried to Bangalore. They then went back to Mysore Zoo with the superintendent's letter. Baba was driven into a small cage which was hoisted on top of the car and was brought back to Bangalore. So he was brought back to Bangalore in that cage. Okay. Here, when he was brought here very carefully, when he returned home, an island was made for him, which was surrounded by a dry pit. So when he was brought home, the author made an island for him, and which was surrounded by a dry pit. The island was surrounded by a dry pit. A wooden box was brought for Baba to sleep at night, and straw was placed inside it to keep him warm. Now Baba was placed in a wooden box where the straw was kept so that he should feel, he should have the warmth of the environment. After all these preparations were made, the coolies hoisted the cage on the island and released Baba there. So he was brought to the island with the help of the coolies, and he was left free over there. On being free, Baba was delighted. He would play the tricks like pointing the gun or posing cradle his baby. Posing like cradle his baby. He started doing the same acts which he used to do do at home. He started showing the poses of carrying a baby in the cradle, pointing the gun towards someone. The author's wife spent hours there sitting on the chair. The author's wife loved him so much that she wanted to watch the different funny activities of Bruno. Baba would sit on her lap even though he was quite heavy, as he was now 15 months old. Sometimes he sat in the lap of the author's wife. The author had a rope to the overhanging branch of a mango tree with a loop at its end. His wife could reach the island with the help of this rope. So the author just used a rope which was overhanging the branch of a mango tree with a loop, and at this end his wife could reach the island with the help of this rope. So he helped his wife to reach the island with the help of a rope which was tied on the mango tree. For this, she would have to cross the 6 feet gap of the surrounding pit and would have to return in the same way. For this, she had to cross that gap of 6 feet. The author comments in the who can say a sloth bear has no sense of affection, no memory, and no individual characteristics. The author had a very remarkable comment about the sloth bear. He said that who could say a sloth bear has no sense of affection? Means sloth bear, being a wild animal, was so sensitive. Sloth bear had the sense of love and affection. Who says that he had no memory? He had memory because he remembered how he did very funny activities, keeping a child in a cradle, that kind of pose he used to do, and no individual characteristics. How one can say that sloth bear had no characteristics, different or individual characteristics? So he found that animals should be tamed. Why? Because they understand the language of love. They understand the language of love. They can be tamed because wild animals too have emotions. Wild animals too have affection and deep bonds. So any animal can be tamed, and this is a very burning example of the theme which the poet has presented. The poet says through this story that love is reciprocal. Love is reciprocal. If you love anybody, if you give love to animals, you will get love in return. Not only love, but also there is a bonding between an animal and a human being. And what is the medium of that bonding? It is love. That's why he says love is reciprocal. So try to understand how we can become very positive. What is the medium of being positive? That is love. It strengthens the bonding between any relationship. whether it is the relationship of friends, relationship of siblings, relationship of parents and children, relationship of teacher and student. The main medium is love. So try to understand the value of it and read the lesson. Whatever doubts you have, please ask in online classes. Okay? Thank you.